Howdy y'all, and welcome to the special Halloween outlook. Before we get into what we could expect for those kiddos as they head out for trick-or-treat night, we can get into the roots behind why we celebrate Halloween in the first place. Now, did you know Halloween traces its roots back to over 2,000 years ago to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, when people lit bonfires and wore costumes to ward off roaming ghosts. Essentially, the original trick-or-treat to scare away spirits. So there is a little fun fact about Halloween that you most likely never knew. Now, what is the forecast going to be looking like on Halloween night for those kiddos? Well, as we take a look here at the GFS, we can see today, very dreary here in the central part of the country as well as the East Coast, and we got Hurricane Melissa down there. It's affecting Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane, and as we push off into Halloween night, we can see we got a system rolling through the eastern part of the country. It's going to be bringing some windy and dreary conditions to the eastern part of the country as well as the northeast, but on Halloween night, as y'all are preparing for trick-or-treat, say right around 8 o'clock, right? Eastern time. Kiddos are heading out trick-or-treating, getting that good old candy out there. Looks like it's going to be very dreary and could be dealing with some snow showers as well up here in the northeast potentially. Could be dealing with some rain up here in the upper Midwest and the far northwest part of the country up by Washington. Could be dealing with some very dreary conditions up there as well as some snowfall and some rain, but the rest of the country is looking to be okay though. Now, what about temperatures? Well, right around 8 o'clock at night on Halloween night could be very chilly out there, which what else is new? It's always chilly on Halloween unless you live down here in the southern half of the country, down here into the southwest. Now I know Central Time and Western Time you celebrate Halloween later on, so let's go to right around 11 o'clock. We can see that really much of the country is going to be very chilly, and actually much of the country is going to be pretty dry as well. We can see that really not much is going to be changing within the next couple of hours after 8 o'clock Eastern time, so going to be good to go unless you live up here in the northeast, upper Midwest, and the very far northwest part of the country. Now, I did create a graphic to determine whether or not it's going to be good to go to trick-or-treat or not. We can see that the northeast going to be a 40% chance of being good to go. South central part of the country is going to be 75%. The southeast and southern part of the country is going to be a 60%. Midwest and central plains, I would give it a 60% chance. Southwest, 85% chance. I would probably give it a 100% chance of being good to go down there, honestly, but there's always that chance. And of course, the northwest, 25% chance, because you never know that precipitation up here in the northwest could stretch its way down here into the Rocky Mountains and affect Halloween down there. So regardless of the weather, get out there and enjoy. I remember when I was a kid and it snowed on Halloween night and I was trick-or-treating with my parents. I remember it was snowing and it was bitterly cold, and I still went out there and got my candy. So don't let the weather deter you from getting those good old treats out there, because it's worth it. Trust me. Make those memories, y'all. And before we take a look past Halloween, I actually have a special report from Mr. and even, yes, you heard that right, Mrs. Boner, as Mr. Boner actually found him a little lady friend and got married. So here is that little special report from Mr. and Mrs. Boner on what they think about this spooky season and whether or not they think it'll be a bone-chilling Halloween night here in the Midwest. Now, Boner family, what do you think about this spooky season? Has it been a good season? I think it's been a good season, y'all, and do you think it'll be a bone-chilling Halloween night for those trick-or-treaters out there? I also think it's going to be bone-chilling, y'all, and also, forgot to mention this, but don't forget about time change this weekend as well. So, back to the studio. Alright, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Boner. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that special report from the Boner family, as they're going to be expecting a child this time next year. So, what about after Halloween? Y'all are pretty much in a sugar coma at this point. What could we expect? Well, it's looking like much of the country is going to be relatively calm after Halloween. Could be dealing with some snow up here in the upper elevations of the Mountain West. Could be very soggy here in the southeast. And it's looking like we could be coming back into an active weather pattern as we head into the beginning weeks of November, potentially. Now, of course, we are heading over 200 some hours out and almost 300 hours out, honestly. And this is La La Land when it comes to the model, so please take this with a grain of salt. This will change between now and then. Now, what does the Climate Prediction Center have to say? We can see that we're going to be drying out here in the central part of the country, according to the Climate Prediction Center, which I would agree with. I think after this system that rolls through after Halloween gets out of here, I think we're going to be in a little bit of a drying pattern. Then, as we head into the middle parts of November, we could be back into an active weather pattern. Now, of course, the Northeast, up here into the northwest could be very soggy, pretty spot on as well. Now, next 8 to 14 days, they're still saying below average, but a little less of a percentage of being below average. And it's looking like the northeast, a little less above average, a little bit near normal. And northwest, still going to be remaining soggy up there. So basically, it's looking like after we get past Halloween, it's going to be pretty dry, pretty quiet. But then, like I said earlier, as we head into the beginning weeks of November, could be back into an active weather pattern. But I'll, of course, be letting y'all know if anything does change between now and then. Now, of course, we do have a risk of heavy precipitation from November 4th through 8th. This is a pretty wide time horizon, but the Northwest is looking to be getting in on what we call atmospheric river-like conditions up there. Could be very, very soggy for quite some time. It's not too unusual to see that as well, as we are in a pretty strong La Nina for now, but of course if you checked out my winter outlook, we are going to be heading into a weak La Nina as we head into the winter months. And if you haven't checked that out, please go check that out. Very, very informative video. And speaking of winds, I did forget to show you all that, by the way, but here is what we could expect. Could be a very, very windy end of the month and into beginning of the month. You can see from the 4th through the 7th, very windy up here in the Great Lakes to the northeast, and of course dealing with atmospheric river-like conditions in the northwest, so we're dealing with some very windy conditions out there. So back to the weather models here. We can see as we have that system rolling through, it's going to be bringing some dreary and windy conditions with it as well. And as we head into Halloween night, could be very, very windy up here in the northeast. Not as windy up here in the northwest, unless you live up here in the very, very far northwest. But we can see as we head into the beginning weeks of November, could be dealing with some very windy conditions, which is pretty typical for this time of year. As we transition from fall into winter, we typically come in on those windy patterns as we have systems rolling through, knocking all that warm air out, and usually the leaves go with it as well. So if you have any fall foliage out there, get out there and enjoy it while it lasts, because usually after Halloween, usually we have these windstorms that roll through. You can see right here about 30 to 40 mile an hour winds rolling through, and that's going to be resulting in the leaves falling off very, very rapidly. So if you have any fall foliage again, make sure you go get some pictures of it. Get out there and enjoy it, because it's looking like as we head into November, the winds are going to be taking those leaves right on off. Now, what about temperatures? Well, it's looking like we could be coming into a cool down as we head into the beginning weeks of November as well. So we're basically going to be doing some very dreary conditions up here in the northeast, as well as some cool conditions as well. So let's go ahead and get into that before we take a look at what the experts are expecting. Now we can see today and tomorrow going to be relatively nice here out east. Still dreary though, as we have a system rolling through, heading up to the northeast. Very chilly up here in the northwest, right around, I would say, low 20s into the teens up there near Idaho and Wyoming. So that's some bone chilling kind of air up there. And of course here on Halloween, as we push off into Halloween, it's looking like it's going to be relatively warm at right around 4 o'clock Eastern time. So as the kiddos are getting ready to get out there and go trick-or-treating, it's looking like it's going to be relatively nice out there. But I would pack a jacket, as it's looking like nighttime. The kiddos are heading out. It's going to be very, very bone chilling cold out there, and windy as well if you live up here in the northeast and a little bit of the northwest as well. Now, don't expect this warm air to last though, although it does say on November 2nd we could be coming in on this one last warm up. Don't be fooled though, because looking like after that we're going to be going from 70s to close to teens out there as we head into right around the November 8th time frame. So we're going to be going from 70s to 80s to almost single digits to teens as we head into right around the November 8th time frame. And of course after that, sort of la la land, but it's looking like we're going to be in a roller coaster ride when it comes to temperatures. Basically the I don't know what to wear kind of season, as the warm air is going to be making its one last return before that winter chill starts stretching its way down here into the lower 48. Now, what does the Climate Prediction Center have to say? Well, they're saying as we head into the beginning weeks of November, it's looking like the eastern part of the country is going to be below average, which is pretty spot on. Western part of the country, including the central part, it's going to be well above average, especially down here into the southwest. What about the next 8 to 14 days from the 4th through the 10th? Much of the same story, really. So I would expect, as we head past Halloween, some relatively warm temperatures to start off November, but don't get fooled though, because I think this is that warm air's last push before that winter chill starts stretching its way down, because we're going to go from 70s and 80s on November 5th potentially to close to the mid-teens as we head into the November 8th time frame, almost the middle of November. Now, of course, that is very, very far out, so please take that with a grain of salt, but that can't happen this time of year. This is our I don't know what to work on it season, and we typically come in on bone chilling temperatures during this roller coaster ride of weather. To sum this all up before I get into Hurricane Melissa and some interesting stats about Halloween, basically after we move past Halloween, it's going to be relatively quiet out there, very dry here in the central part of the country, and really much of the country, to be honest with y'all, unless you live up here in the northeast and northwest, as the northwest is going to be coming in on potential atmospheric river kind of conditions. But we can see where the jackpot of rain is going to be at. We can see up in the northwest coming in on atmospheric river kind of conditions up there. So definitely coming in on the jackpot of rain for the next couple of weeks. Northeast also going to be coming in on a lot of rain up there, system after system rolling through, as well as down here in the Midwest. But you can see where it's going to be dry at, and it's pretty spot on with what the Climate Prediction Center is predicting. Now, what about temperatures? Well, we can expect for the next 6 to 10 days that the eastern part of the country is going to be remaining below average, while the western part of the country, especially the southwest, as I covered earlier, can be above average. Not expecting after Halloween to warm up a little bit, especially as we head into November 2nd, but then I would expect as we head into the middle parts of November, we're going to go from 70s and 80s to almost single digit feels like temperatures. So definitely prepare for that, as we are in the roller coaster ride of the year when it comes to the weather anyway. That bone chilling air is going to be felt here in the eastern part of the country. And we can see this just right here from the 5th to the 6th. It's going to be feeling that bone chilling air up here in the northeast. Now I do want to remind y'all of the trick-or-treating weather probabilities up here in the northeast, giving y'all a 40% chance of being good to go, 60% chance here in the southern part of the country, south central 75% chance, southwest 85, 60% chance here in the central part of the country into the Midwest, and a 25% chance here in the western part of the country. So now that I covered the trick-or-treat forecast and what we could expect afterwards, go ahead and get into Hurricane Melissa, as that is currently a Category 5 hurricane. It's going to be impacting Jamaica, which is an extremely dangerous, life-threatening situation. So make sure if you're in Jamaica, please take cover now, as this is going to remain a major hurricane all the way through Wednesday and into Thursday. Then it's going to be getting out of our hair after it heads past Bermuda by Thursday into Friday. So really not much to worry about there anyway, and I'm not going to cover the hurricanes as much as it's looking like after that. Not going to have much to worry about out there, as we are starting to wind down in the hurricane season, and I will have a hurricane recap video, I think in December, so stay tuned for that. Eastern Pacific, we got Sonia out there, not expected to impact Hawaii any, so not much to worry about. And other than that, not much happening out there. So, what about the fall foliage? I did mention that earlier. We can see we got some peak fall foliage happening out there, so make sure to take some pictures while you can, because it's going to be getting windy out here very soon, and those leaves are going to be pretty much falling right on off as soon as these windstorms start rolling through here as we head into the beginning weeks of November. And we can see as we head into November, we're going to be past peak. Get out there to take some fall foliage pictures while you can, y'all. Now for kicks and giggles, let's go ahead and take a look at the bird cast. We already know that the birds have already pretty much moved out by now. We can see 176 million moving through tonight. Tomorrow night, 146 million, and even less here on the night of the 30th. So the birds have pretty much already moved down south. If they haven't already, then they better get their butts moving. And here are some interesting stats about Halloween this year. Total spending on Halloween this year is projected to hit a record high of $13.1 billion, up significantly from previous years due to higher consumer participation. So, going to be a record spending year for folks that are going to be trick-or-treating and all that. And Americans are expected to shell out over $4.3 billion on costumes alone, a 13% increase from last year, and another $3.9 billion on candy, which is up 11%, which candy prices have gone up because they pretty much can. There's some interesting stats most likely didn't know about this year. And I'll be sharing more interesting facts, folklore, stats, and all that on X and Facebook, so make sure you stay tuned. And even here on YouTube community posts as well, so again, stay tuned for that. And if you're heading out trick-or-treating, make sure you are exercising caution. Just please use your common sense. It's all you gotta do. Make sure you're visible to those drivers out there. Have flashlights, glow sticks, and all that kind of stuff. I remember when I was a kid, we went to the fire station and they handed out these little glow sticks, and that was always a fun thing to do when I was a kid. Out there when we had some snow occurring, and it was bone chilling cold out there, and we had to suffer through the snow to get good old candy from strangers. And here's some more safety tips. Make sure that if you were a kid, make sure you're always accompanied by an adult, because there's a whole bunch of weirdos out there, a lot of pedophiles nowadays, so make sure you are accompanied by an adult. And also tell your children to not eat any sort of candy until they return home. Please inspect the candy nowadays, because you never know if they lace the candy. I would advise that go out there and go trick-or-treating, but go get your own bag of candy, because you never know about the candy nowadays, because they like to lace it with nonsense, especially fentanyl. Please be cautious of the candy this year. And here's even more safety tips. Like I was saying earlier, each year, poison centers from around the country manage numerous exposure cases involving Halloween-related substances such as candy, glow sticks, and special cosmetics. So please exercise caution this Halloween and stay safe. So I hope y'all enjoyed this little Halloween outlook, and hopefully y'all stay safe out there this Halloween. Can't stress that enough. So make sure you get out there and get all the candy you want and get into that good old sugar coma the next day. And basically, Halloween night, it's looking to be very chilly. What else is new? Typical Halloween kind of weather, but it's gonna be very soggy and dreary and windy up in the northeast and northwest. Atmospheric rivers could be possible up in the northwest as well, so be mindful of that. But don't let that deter you from getting out. Because I remember when I was a kid, I used to get out when we had a big snowstorm, but still got out anyways and made some good memories. So basically, next couple weeks after Halloween, I would expect it to warm up a little bit. Gonna be that warm air's last return before that bone chilling air starts sticking around. And it's looking like it's gonna be relatively quiet for the next couple of weeks as well. We could be coming back into an active weather pattern as we head into the middle of November, but that is of course subject to change. So please take that with a grain of salt, as this is our second severe weather season. So again, enjoy Halloween, y'all. Enjoy that candy and enjoy those fun Halloween related activities. And of course, I will have a AI Halloween film up on Thursday. So we'll put a sneak peek of this AI Halloween film here at the end of this video. So make sure you check that out on Thursday. Put a lot of effort into that. I spent this whole entire month putting that together. So again, go check that out. So again, enjoy Halloween, y'all. Enjoy the next couple of weeks, as it's looking like it could be nice, but don't be fooled. It's looking like we could be dealing with a cold snap heading to the middle of November. So again, like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, appreciate all y'all for watching, and never stop forecasting.
So, Mr. Skeptic, ready for ghosts on Route 66?
Update. A black repainted 60 Corvette spotted near Oatman. Tied to disappearances.
Alex, he's gone.
What the hell?
We need to go now.
I traded my soul for that win. Now it claims blood on this highway.
Break the Le Mans Pact. Break it.
The curse was the price of that 60 wheel.
Ha ha!